All right. How's everyone doing today on this Valentine's Day? Let me know if you can hear me. Take a second, make sure that we have Facebook, YouTube, of course, and we have Twitch. Looks like Twitter is coming online. Hello, everyone on Twitter. Hello to YouTube. As you all know, this is definitely Valentine's Day, so it's kind of fitting because I absolutely love this. Little joke for you. May not be that great of a joke, but I think it's cute. By the way, if you haven't bought your significant other Valentine's card or candy or whatever, if this is a public service announcement, you may want to do that after you get done with this visit today. We're going to meet for about 45 minutes, maybe an hour. Then I have to cut it short because I have Valentine's plans myself. I appreciate everybody being with me today. We're going to dive right into it here in just a second. This is a fantastic day because this is essentially D-Day or D-Day Eve for Fani Willis, Nathan Wade, and Associates. And I couldn't be happier. And hello to Kim. I see your comment here. Thank you, Kim. Appreciate it. I actually live in Tampa Bay, right outside Tampa Bay in one of the suburbs there called Zephyr Hills, Florida. I don't know if any of y'all have heard of that area, just a small town. I've been here about 10 years or so. I enjoy it. It's a good place to live. I have no complaints. I love it here in Florida. It's a great place to be. And of course, our favorite president, Donald Trump, is also a resident here for many reasons. I've told people many years ago, always consider Florida, not just when you get old, but anytime. It's a great state. We enjoy a lot of freedoms here. We have a great governor as of right now, and I can't say enough good things about it. I've lived all over the United States, and I definitely love it here in the Tampa Bay area. So we're going to get started up. I cannot wait till tomorrow. It's going to start about 9:15 in the Fulton County Courthouse, right there in Fulton County, Georgia. Now, if you're not familiar with Atlanta, Fulton County is your typical inner city type of area. It's heavily Democratic. It's heavily Democratic, very, let's just say, left-leaning, liberal type of place. That is the reason why they brought this Rico, the so-called Rico action against President Donald Trump and his associates. And unfortunately, this Fani Willis decided to go ahead and press forward with this case. If y'all can hear me too, would you just put something in the chat? Let me know y'all can hear me okay. I just want to make sure my volume and everything's coming through. That way I could just make sure y'all hear me. And at any rate, today what we're going to do, I got several videos I want us to take a quick peek at as far as what's going to be discussed tomorrow and what all the pundits are predicting. I've said yesterday, and I'll say it again, this is going to be an exceptional situation because you're going to have the sitting elected district attorney from Fulton County, Georgia, potentially take the stand. Now, there is no guarantee. Thank you so much, folks. There is no guarantee that they are going to actually have to take the stand. The judge did rule that all the other individuals have to show up and take the stand. But if Attorney Ashley Merchant is able to prove anything that she apparently is able to prove with these witnesses, it's a shoo-in. You're going to see the Fulton County District Attorney on the stand and the prosecutor, and they're going to have to answer questions under oath. Now, you might ask, well, why is this important? It's no big deal. People answer questions all the time. It's just very, very unusual. I really can't think of another time where the prosecutor or the sitting district attorney had to take a stand on a stand in this type of situation. It's just extremely rare, and it does not bode well for Fani Willis or Nathan Wade. Now, the main problem here is not even if this case goes away, because I can assure you, sooner or later, this case is done. Obviously, Fani Willis, Nathan Wade will probably end up getting kicked off and removed from the case, but I can assure you, just from attorney friends that I know, that I've talked to, and just my experience in general, in the legal system, no attorney wants to come back behind another attorney and clean up their mess. It's really just that simple. Fani Willis, in her own statements, said, hey, one of the main reasons I hired Nathan Wade was because I could not find another attorney that wanted to handle the case. Now, obviously, I don't believe much of anything she has to say, but that is what she said. And think about it. What attorney would want to put their credibility on the line and persecute such a unfounded, it's just not a popular case. And everybody knows that this is not political prosecution, it's political persecution. Also, just as a reminder, please make sure you put your comments below. And if you would, please stick to the guidelines for the comments. You don't have to agree with me. Just please keep them respectful, polite, and just follow the simple rules that we have. And of course, all of YouTube's guidelines pertaining to comments. It would definitely be appreciated. So anyway, without further ado, let's go ahead and let's dive into the first video I want to get to today. I don't want to waste a lot of time. We'll get to comments and stuff like that here in just 1 second. So let's go ahead and let's take a peek at video number 1, and we will talk about it as we go through it. So here we go.
Whose alleged deception could upend the 2024 presidential election. We are, of course, talking about the Georgia election interference case against Trump and several others involving District Attorney Fani Willis and her paramour, Special Prosecutor Nathan Wade, who say they should not be disqualified from prosecuting Mr. Trump and the others, notwithstanding the motions that have been filed to boot them off the case. On Monday, the two sides were in court trying to get out of an evidentiary hearing. The special prosecutor and Fani Willis were trying that, about their alleged improprieties. And before the hearing could really even get underway, Fulton Superior Court Judge Scott McAfee informed the two sides there will be an evidentiary hearing this week. They will not be wiggling out of it, and it happens tomorrow morning at 9:15. He ruled that he will consider the defendants, in particular this defendant Michael Roman, but now Trump has joined and some other defendants have joined, motion to boot these two off the case, and they want the case dismissed. But in particular, they want Mr. Wade, Ms. Willis, and her entire office disqualified from this matter.
In studying the law that's been filed up to this point, I think it's clear that disqualification can occur if evidence is produced demonstrating an actual conflict or the appearance of one. And the filings submitted on this issue so far have presented a conflict in the evidence that can't be resolved as a matter of law.
Just quickly, what you're looking at on the screen is after COVID, almost every agency, as far as government agency, especially court system, they have definitely welcomed technology. And you can see that nowadays, unless a judge orders it specifically, you generally don't have to show up in the courtroom. You can simply show up by video conferencing. I'm sure each jurisdiction is different, has different rules. But I wanted to point out on your screen, right in the middle to the slight right, I don't know if you can see my cursor or not, I believe that is Michael Roman. The only reason I didn't recognize him right away is his hair is gray. I wonder why his hair is gray. It went from black to gray. Gee, I wonder why. Any ideas? I think my hair would go gray. Of course, I don't have any hair to worry about, but I'm sure it has to be a very stressful time. So you always need to remember that when it comes to cases like this, it's sad for the country. It's something that can actually undermine the country that we love so much. And this is not just talking points. It's not hyperbole. It's true. It's real. This could undermine our entire system that we operate under. But you also have to remember the individuals involved. And when you're a defendant and you're facing the full force of a state government that almost has endless resources, this would be very concerning to me too. And I can just imagine the stress these people are under. Down near the bottom, Miss Ann Cross right here, that is the attorney representing the state. Someone asked me yesterday, why didn't Fani Willis or Nathan Wade themselves show up and argue the case? Well, generally, when you practice law, you don't show up if you're the subject in question. In other words, since Fani Willis and Nathan Wade are the ones that the hearing is essentially about, that Ashley Merchant, the attorney for Michael Roman, has come forward with that motion, you generally have your own attorney. It's probably within the same DA's office. I doubt she hired anybody from the outside. But everybody's going to have an attorney and everybody's going to be represented accordingly. So,
looking at defendant Roman's motion, it alleges a personal relationship that resulted in a financial benefit to the district attorney. And that is no longer a matter of complete speculation. The state has admitted a relationship existed. And so what remains to be proven is the existence and extent of any financial benefit. Again, if there even
Yeah, you notice how he said, as a matter of law, I cannot say this case is dismissed or we're not going to go forward with this hearing because Fani Willis and Nathan Wade were trying to have it what they call squashed. That's just kind of a weird name for it, but it's spelled with a Q, not an S. It's a quash the subpoena. They basically don't want to have to show up and defend themselves, which if I was them, I wouldn't want to show up anyways. But the judge says, as a matter of law, we have to have an evidentiary hearing because I find sufficient cause that you guys are up to something no good. And that is not good. I mean, really, if you are the district attorney, if you are Nathan Wade, you are not going to have a good night's sleeping tonight. I promise you that.
Was one. So because I think it's possible that the facts alleged by the defendant could result in disqualification, I think an evidentiary hearing must occur to establish the record on those core allegations.
By the way, wherever you are at, if you would take a minute and just introduce yourself, say hello, and just let me know what city you're from or what country you're in. I'm always curious where everybody's located. And finally, if you wouldn't mind, take a second, hit the thumbs up button for me. I really would appreciate it. It helps with the algorithm, helps get this out to more people. I believe I have the capacity for up to 1,000, 1,500 people, something like that, to join in. So if you would be so kind as to hit that button, I would appreciate it. And thank you.
At issue, that personal relationships timeline, money received by Ms. Willis in some form as a result, as well as they're making an issue of Ms. Willis's out-of-court statements, which they say disparaged the defendants to the potential jury pool. Okay, let's start with the affair and the alleged financial boon to Fani Willis as a result of her bringing her alleged affair partner in on the case against Trump. He's a special prosecutor. He didn't work for her. She brought him in. She's paid him over $650,000 of the taxpayer money so far. And that is more than the other special prosecutors. And now we find out that the two of them, Fani and Nathan, have been flying all over the country and beyond, allegedly on his dime, while she was paying his salary with taxpayer dough. Fani Willis has argued she never received any financial benefit as a result of hiring her lover, Wade, not directly, not indirectly. She also claims they were not lovers at the time she hired him in November 2021. Mr. Wade has submitted a sworn affidavit. This is submitted under the penalties of perjury, claiming that expenses on their multiple lavish trips were, quote, roughly divided equally between the two of them, claiming sometimes he paid, sometimes she did. As proof, he attaches one receipt, one, for a pair of plane tickets that Ms. Willis appears to have purchased from Atlanta to Miami on December 30th, 2022, and then returning to Atlanta on January 3rd, 2023. That is one pair of plane tickets she allegedly bought him for one of their many trips. And by the way, the defendant Roman and the others, they claim Nathan Wade actually paid for those tickets too. Don't know how they reconcile her receipt. We'll find out. But in any event, from October 2022 until May of 2023, 7 months, it appears this couple took at least 5 trips, 5 in 7 months that we know about. That's 10 plane tickets. And the defense, again, these are the people being prosecuted by Fani Willis and Nathan Wade. They are alleging that Nathan Wade paid for all of the expenses virtually that they can find in these trips, including cruise ship fees, hotel expenses, and other expenses too. Now, according to filings, over those 7 months that we know about, this pair, while they're prosecuting Trump and the other defendants, went on an international travel spree to some of the most beautiful romantic places on earth. They don't have to celebrate Valentine's Day. Every day is Valentine's Day for these two. October 2022, a Royal Caribbean cruise to the Bahamas. He paid for their flights, their shared cabin on the ship, and other expenses, totaling at least $3,500. This is all in the defendant's pleadings. November 2022, and they have receipts. A trip to Aruba, where Wade spent over $4,000 on himself and his girlfriend. Over New Year's, this is the trip that we just discussed, 2022, 2023, a Norwegian cruise to the Bahamas. Remember, she alleges she at least flew them from Atlanta to Miami. Then they got on a cruise ship, Norwegian, and went to the Bahamas. That trip, and they've submitted receipts, cost him over $3,600. Don't forget, they've got records, the defendants do, from his divorce proceedings. So they've got.
Yeah, if you're going to lie about something, don't lie about something that can be proven. Fani Willis, in front of the church as she's committing blasphemy, she's saying, hey, by the way, I hired 3 great prosecutors and I paid them all the same. And that's a bald-faced lie. It's a provable lie. It's easy to prove. This situation they're getting themselves in with perjury is easy to prove. It's easy to show that they were lovers years before she hired him to be a special prosecutor on this case. These people are stupid. I mean, how stupid can you be, right?
Receipts to back up a lot of these expenses. March 2023, a trip to Belize. My God, have they been prosecuting Trump? Who's running herd on this case? What lawyers have this much time to take vacations? The trip to Belize, over $3,000 spent by him on food, lodging, and something happened at a tattoo parlor as well. Now, I'm just going to say that at this hearing tomorrow morning, if Ashley Merchant, who's representing defendant Roman, does not ask somebody to show us their tattoos, it's a fail. It's a fail. What happened in the tattoo parlor? Is it like, get Trump? Okay, let's move forward to May 2023. That was the trip.
I got a bunch of jokes related to that tattoo, but I'm going to leave that for another day. You can just let your imagination run wild.
To Napa Valley, one of the most beautiful and expensive places you can go in the U.S. The flights and hotel for this trip, so far as we know, actually only totaled about $1,600. That's a bargain. Well done. Again, the evidence that they divided the expenses, quote, roughly equally, which he's now sworn to, appears to be that one time when she claims to have bought him a round-trip flight from Atlanta to Miami for a grand total of $697.20. And even that is something that the defendants in this case dispute. If Ashley Merchant, again, the attorney who first brought all this to light in her defense of former Trump campaign official Michael Roman, can prove this at the hearing tomorrow morning, it would mean that Fani Willis did absolutely benefit, quote, directly or indirectly, from her lover's special prosecutor money, contrary to their representations in court. But there's more. The pair also claim they weren't lovers when Willis hired Wade as the special prosecutor for this matter back in November 2021. It was November 1st, 2021. Nathan Wade swears to this. He swears to it under penalties of perjury in his affidavit. We were not affair partners then, and we were not affair partners prior to then. Now, it just so happens that the very next day after Willis hired Wade on November 2nd, 2021, by the way, Wade was a man with no experience with Rico cases like the one that she was pursuing against the Trump defendants, but she hired him anyway. The very next day after she brings in her alleged lover, which they deny, Nathan Wade filed for divorce from his wife of 20.
Yeah, imagine that. The day after he is hired by Fani Willis to be the quote unquote special prosecutor, the next day he's like, oh, you know what? I'm going to file for divorce of my wife of 26 years. He was married to this woman for 26 years. And she ends up, according to her, living destitute after this, while Nathan is out with $723,000 to $1 million, living it up. And that's where this thing is starting to blow up, is his wife, his soon-to-be ex-wife, Jocelyn, is alleging Fani is out spending her money. She's like, where's my money? I can hear that song by Rihanna in the background. You know, she better have my money, right?
26 years. Okay. So Ms. Willis hires her alleged lover. The very next day, he files for divorce from his wife. But again, they say they only entered into a personal relationship later in 2022. But on Monday, at the hearing on whether or not there should be an evidentiary hearing in this case, which you heard the judge say we are having tomorrow morning, Mr. Roman's defense attorney, Ashley Merchant, raised serious questions about when this relationship started, too.
Mr. Wade has filed other affidavits in his divorce case, which contradict this affidavit. So the state's response last week said they had a relationship that began in 2022. In May of 2023, he filed in the Cobb County Superior Court a pleading that said specifically,
folks, she is one sharp woman. Not only is she beautiful, she is extremely intelligent. We're going to be showing a little bit more about her in a few minutes. And I got a motion of hers, or a response motion, we have to read because she is right on point. Michael Roman, who is her client, who's one of the defendants in this matter, he had the good fortune of running across this young lady and hiring her. And man, does she have the chops. And she is really good. I cannot wait to see her tear this up tomorrow.
If he had had any relations with a person other than his spouse during the course of the marriage, and he responded none. After we filed our motion in this case, he updated those and he pled privilege under the Fifth Amendment. So we've got a filing under oath by Mr. Wade in 2023 stating he didn't have a relationship. Then we've got a filing stating he did have one starting in 2022. And then once that came about, he fixes the incorrect affidavit that was filed back in 2023. So,
folks, if she's able to prove any of that, this case is done. At a minimum, Fani Willis and Nathan Wade are off this case, which should mean that her entire office is off the case, meaning the DA of Fulton County, because there's no way for her to be the head of the department and say, oh, I can hire one of my flunkies and I'll stay out of it. That's really just unacceptable. However, if she can prove this, it is going to be one red letter day for Ashley Merchant and Donald Trump.
we definitely have a conflict, Judge, in the evidence as far as when this relationship started.
That's a bombshell right there, folks. That's a bombshell. She's claiming he said in his divorce proceeding he never had an affair at all. And then when he was caught because of the motion in this case, he went back and amended his sworn testimony in the divorce proceeding by pleading the Fifth Amendment.
Yeah, I want to make sure you understand that. In his original divorce filings, they sent him what's called interrogatories. That's a fancy word to say questions, because his wife is entitled to discovery. And she asked him things. Have you been with another woman since we've been married up to today? Do you have a girlfriend? Have you been cohabitating? All these type of questions. And his answer originally was unequivocally no. And remember, this is under penalty of perjury. But what did he do? He has now realized that he is in serious trouble. So he's went back and amended his affidavit. And at this point, he's pleading the Fifth Amendment, which basically means I'm not going to answer the question. I'm not sure that that's going to fly. You just can't go back and say, oh, I don't want to get caught. He's done it anyways, but I'm just telling you, it's already, in my opinion, a perjury situation, at least for Nathan Wade. And I think Fani Willis is not far behind.
This is the special prosecutor going after Trump right now. One of the claims is lying, that he's lied, that the officials have lied in connection with their alleged election interference. Ms. Merchant also says she's prepared to call witnesses, and the judge just greenlit it, who will testify under oath that this affair has been going on for years, well before Fani Willis hired Nathan Wade in this case. It did not start in 2022, according to Ms. Merchant, who's going to call witness after witness tomorrow morning to prove this. If that's true, what she's really proving is that these two lied to the court. Not just Wade, Willis too. I'll get to it. So my takeaway, if the defense can prove this, what we just heard her represent to the court she can prove, then it does appear DA Fani Willis and Special Prosecutor Nathan Wade will have misled the court, Wade under oath, at Willis in her capacity as an officer of the court, and misrepresented their inappropriate relationship to cover their own hides. It's all extremely bad for both of them as attorneys, as prosecutors, and as the people pursuing this criminal case. And if proven, they're toast, in my opinion. Toast. And they may even face other problems ranging from disbarment to prosecution.
Yeah, and it's not just that they are toast. They have opened themselves up to criminal liability. Obviously, this is my opinion, but I'm not the only one that shares this opinion. How else can it be anything else? You have a prosecutor and a DA who took an oath to basically do their jobs correctly. As an attorney, you have certain rules you have to act by. You're not allowed even to have the appearance of doing anything improper. So here's what's happened as a result of their lies. They've opened themselves up to criminal prosecution. At a minimum, they've opened themselves up at this point, by my estimation, to perjury. And you got to get this. If you hear nothing else I say about this subject, hear this. Right now, today, they are currently prosecuting individuals in this Trump Rico trial for perjury. Yes, they are prosecuting people right now today in this Trump Rico case for perjury. They claim that they were lied to by these so-called defendants. And so they are wrapped into this Rico case by default. So these individuals have allegedly committed perjury. So she wraps them into a Rico case that carries a minimum sentence of 20 years. And the judge has no discretion to depart downwards. Upon conviction, it's 20 years. So what she's accused these defendants of doing, she has done herself, and so has Nathan Wade. You know, isn't that amazing that's even going on? And yet this case is somehow still ongoing. We definitely have a two-tiered justice system. And if anybody does not believe that, I mean, I just don't know what world you're living in. There's definitely one system for the wealthy, and there's one system for the people that are in power. And then there's another system for people that are not favored, people that don't have money, or people, frankly, that they are not in power right now, like the Republicans. And as a result, we have the weaponization of our judicial system on all levels. It's unbelievable when you get right down to it. I really worry this could actually destroy the country that we all love so much. This is the country that we feed our families through, that we live our lives in, and they are in the process of trying to destroy it. And it has to stop. I really hope people come to their senses and understand what's going on. I am very prayerful that the Supreme Court of the United States will step in and intervene somehow, because, folks, this is just wrong on so many levels. And in my opinion, that's the most serious level, what I just outlined. But imagine being one of these people that have been accused of perjury, and you're facing these serious charges, and you got the people that are calling you evil doing exactly the same thing. Just unbelievable, if you want my honest opinion about it. So let's go to a few comments here real quick. Kim, thank you. I appreciate you joining in. I was telling you earlier that I live right outside the Tampa Bay area myself, so it's good to have a neighbor close by. Appreciate everybody joining me. Hello from Brooklyn, New York. You got your Scooby Snacks. Yeah, 9:15 tomorrow. It's going to be a long day, but hopefully a great day. And I love this judge. This judge seems very thoughtful. He's been bending over backwards trying to help out the incompetent Nathan Wade. I released a 3-part video series so far. The third one dropped today, and it is really going, I guess you can call it semi-viral. Last time I checked, it was up to almost 30,000 views, something like that. And it's only been out 8-9 hours. So I'm really happy to bring that video. I've gotten a lot of publicity off that video, and I think I'm going to make a part 4, but we'll see how it goes. I got so many other things to look at right now. Michelle, it's good to have you, and you are most welcome. I definitely appreciate you joining us today. And can't wait till tomorrow. Get that popcorn ready. Absolutely. Hello, Vicky from Brooklyn, New York. Are you okay? We just did you with the Scooby Snacks there. Hello, Ronald from Maryland. Okay. Nobody listens to Turtle. All right. Imagine Fani has the power to prosecute. Yeah, you know, I was making that comment the other day too. The United States is really the only industrial modern society that allows a prosecutor, a solicitor, a DA, an attorney general to have the unilateral authority to go ahead and charge an individual with a crime. For example, Israel, in order for that to happen, they have a independent office that the AG, for example, the district attorney has to go to and say, hey, I would like to prosecute this individual for this reason, and they could decide from there. And the reason they have it, and they have this particular position, they have different names for this position in different countries, is because of what's going on right now. In the past, we have always just simply trusted the good nature, the good judgment, the good character of our officials that are district attorneys, solicitors, AGs, not to turn our system into a lawfare state. And of course, we can no longer do that, as evidenced by the nonsense that's going on right now. So I appreciate that comment there, Turtle. Yeah, Coke machine, DEI, it should be dead. What is that? DEAD. It's just what is that? Just basically affirmative action repackaged into something else. I've talked a little bit about this. Generally, when you look like me and someone brings up race, most people just get real quiet. I'm not like that. I'll definitely speak my mind, and I dare anybody to say I'm a racist, because I can assure you that's not going to go far. I have all kinds of family members that are all kinds of shades of colors and stuff. And the bottom line is that it needs to be talked about, because we need to stop it. And the easiest way to stop it, I'll quote, at least I'll paraphrase Chief Justice John Roberts, who essentially said, if you want to stop boxing people by race, then the quickest way to fix that is to stop it. Stop boxing, stop separating people by their race. Real simple, folks. All right. If Nathan soon to be ex-wife, this scenario would never have come to. Yeah, that's right. I would overturn to say, oh, Nathan is regretting. Yeah, I would say he's regretting it too. And the lady we're about to talk about, Ashley Merchant, she even made that point in a response brief that we're going to go through momentarily, where she tells the court, hey, look, if it wasn't for my client hiring me, and if I hadn't found out through paperwork what was going on with this divorce, none of this stuff would have even come to light. Papa Smurf, Ron, thank you for being with us today. Melinda, Fani will drop Nathan after this. Probably. I'm sure they're not enjoying a very romantic Valentine's dinner, if you know what I'm saying. And you know what? Going on those cruises and doing all that stuff, I'm surprised someone else didn't notice it, because it wasn't like they're hiding. You know, if you're hiding, you definitely don't want to go on a Carnival cruise, if you know what I'm saying. Everybody has a phone and a camera. I'm just kind of a little surprised we have not yet seen photos from the trips and the other stuff they were allegedly doing, or that they've admitted to doing at this point. So the relationship, yeah, I'm sure they're going to have relationship problems. Like a hot potato, Papa Smurf, he divorced his wife. I believe if you're talking about Nathan Wade, he did file for divorce from Jocelyn Wade. Absolutely. And the next day, that's right. Okay, I see what we're going with this. He signed a contract. I can't remember the date off the top of my head. It's been going on for a couple of years. They hired him quite some time ago in preparation for this Rico action. They knew what they were going to do. They knew they had to get busy getting all their ducks lined up, because they wanted to stop Donald Trump from running. And in my opinion, as soon as they had good word that it looked like he was getting ready to run and that he was actually going to run, they were like, oh no, we got to stop this guy. We got to make this go away quickly. And you're right. The next day, he filed the paperwork for divorce from his wife of 26 years. Unreal, ain't it? That's right. Unreal. All right. Like nothing was brewing. Exactly. That's exactly what I'm saying. Money is always a problem. A lot of lies bouncing around here. All right, Mr. Hackman, need to ask Wade and Fani if they have discussed how they are going to answer the question. Yeah, you know, you got to be careful doing that, because Miss Merchant can ask questions like that on the stand. Have you talked to somebody pertaining to this case? What did you talk about? Just because you're boyfriend, girlfriend does not mean you have any type of privilege where you cannot be compelled to testify against one another. There is a husband and wife privilege, but you have to be married. And don't quote me on this, but I believe anything you talked about before marriage can still be brought up after you're married. But I'm not 100% sure about that. What I will say is, when you're not married, you do not have a privilege. So that's something you want to be mindful for. Yeah, Melinda, they should not be allowed to take the fifth. Yeah, you know, I got news for you. I know where you're coming from in that. As Bill Clinton would say, I feel your pain. But what I will tell you is that the Fifth Amendment is definitely an American treasure. And I think anybody should have the ability to take the Fifth Amendment. The Fifth Amendment is something that is extremely important, each and every one of us. And even our President Donald Trump, he has said before, anybody who takes the Fifth Amendment must be somebody that's got something to hide. He does not feel that way anymore because now he sees how valuable that Fifth Amendment privilege is. And we all need to be sure that we exercise that. I do have very old videos that I've made about that exact subject. So be sure to look them up if you're interested in that. I tell you how to take the Fifth Amendment. There is a definitive way you need to do that. If you like to see videos, more updated videos on that, be sure to let me know in the comments. Drop me a line, something. Just let me know what you like, and I'll consider doing just that. So, alrighty. Soon to be ex-wife is a woman. Yeah, when you, what good fortune for all these defendants having a divorce like that and him do her the way that he did and allegedly left her destitute where she couldn't even afford to pay her bills. This is what she said in her divorce pleadings and in supplemental pleadings. And basically she's like, Fanny's got my money. I had no idea that he was paid 700 and some odd $1,000 or whatever the actual compensation was. And then you had Nathan Wade allegedly, and I've seen some paperwork to this effect. He's basically trying to hide his law practice. He's switching partnerships, switching names. This is generally the type of behavior you see when someone is trying to hide their assets. And it's supposed to be that when you are in litigation, especially a divorce, there's no such thing as hiding anything. When you're under penalty of perjury and you're asked, where are your stuff located? Where's your assets? You have to tell them. If you hide, if you lie, if you give a half truth, that's a lie, and that's perjury. Hello from Tyler, Texas. I used to live not far from you. A long time ago, I had a ranch outside. What was that called? There in Kaufman, Texas, right outside. It wasn't Tyler. It was, oh, well, it's escaping me. It was in Kaufman County, not far from where you're at. Hey, Papa. Yeah, I've mentioned that too, just like Bill Clinton. I did not have sex with that woman, Miss Lewinsky. It's kind of like him taking that deposition, and he was like, well, it depends on what the definition of is. And by the way, you may be surprised to know this. I actually liked Bill Clinton back in the day. You have to admit the economy was good. Things were good back then, but make no mistake about it. The party of the Democrats, when Bill Clinton was in office, is not the party that exists today. The Democratic Party today is not the party of John F. Kennedy. The Democratic Party today is essentially a socialist party, and they have been hijacked by the left, and let's just call it what it is. Yeah, see, Patrick, if this gets thrown out, what happens to the current defendants? That's another good question. I doubt it's actually going to be outright thrown out tomorrow, but we never know for sure what's going to happen. Generally speaking, when you take a deal, you take a deal. You have a certain amount of time that you can appeal within that time frame, but at some point you really do not have a way to review it. Now, you can always file a motion with the court and see what happens, but generally I would think that the individuals that took the deal, if it depends how many days have went by, they probably could go back to court and ask for it to be reopened, but they probably don't want to do that. And the reason for it is this, because I've had many people ask me, why is it that somebody will take a plea deal if they are not guilty? Because these people showed up and they plead guilty. Well, you have to understand how our system works in America. It's not perfect. It's just not a perfect system. I would rather be tried in America than any other country, but it's not a perfect system. It never has been a perfect system and never will be a perfect system. And the reason for it has to do with many things. One of the reasons is money. Most people don't have the money to fight the state and all the resources that the state has. Another reason is people don't want to take a chance of being put in a cage. I said earlier that when you are charged with Rico, if you're convicted on Rico in the state of Georgia, it's a mandatory 20 years. So depending on your age, your life is done. You're gone because you will be in a cage for every day of 20 years. It's just that simple, folks. That's the way it works. Additionally, if you're found guilty of Rico, that is a crime of what we call moral turpitude. Good, I got it out. And essentially what that means, if you are found guilty of that type of crime, you can no longer have a law license. You can't have any type of license for that matter, because that basically means you are a person of bad character. So these people want to stay out of a cage. They want to keep their law license. If you noticed, in the last two pleas, there was a specific finding by the court that was written into the record that said that the defendants, that all parties and the judge agrees that this does not constitute a crime of moral turpitude. It's just that simple. That way, they can plead guilty to a lower misdemeanor. I don't believe they had any jail time. Essentially, they're going to pay a fine. They agree to cooperate with the state, with anything that the state may need. They basically make restitution. They may have some community service, but they get to go home to their families. They get to see their children raised, and they're not in a cage. This is serious stuff. This is serious. Being locked away in a cage is serious. And you got these clowns like Fani Willis and Nathan Wade messing with people's lives. There's grandmothers and grandfathers that they've done this to. This is a shame. And I don't want to get aggravated about it, but I'm telling you, this is wrong. It's fun to talk about. I like the intellectual discussion about it, but it makes me boil at times too, because these people are messing with people's real lives, and it really yanks me. It's ridiculous. All right, let me find my place here. Elizabeth, it seems like Fannie paid Lever to divorce his wife. Well, that could be the case. JJ, I'm in Georgia. Justice here is on a sliding scale. I think it is everywhere, my friend. Gary, it appears Mr. Wade could be suffering from dementia. Yeah, that's cute. I like the play on words there. The defense splits the bribes with the court. It's frightening. It is a money racket. There's no denying that. There is a big money racket on it. Fannie will step down before the hearing. I've talked to someone about that. That would be interesting. The problem, Kurt, is that would not excuse her from having to testify potentially tomorrow. The judge didn't say, if you're not in office, don't show up. The judge said, thou shalt show up, and you better show up. Because if you don't show up and you defy a judge's order, you're going to be facing a possible arrest warrant and sanctions. It just goes downhill from there. Let me tell you something, folks. If you don't know this about the United States, I want to be really clear about something. Do not mess with the people with the black robes on. If they say jump, you say how high. It's just that simple. You can always appeal their ruling. You can always protest their ruling, but you don't do it in their courtroom. They are nothing short of a king in that courtroom. If you don't know that, I'm glad I could educate you today. When they say show up, you show up. It's just that simple. But thanks for the question, Kurt. Joseph, Baltimore here. Yeah, I hope they lock him up too, my friend. By the way, folks, it's not that I don't ever cuss. It's just the fact that I try to keep it as PG, what comes out of my mouth. The main reason is I try to keep my channel open for all ages. And if I'm being perfectly honest with you, I don't really make any money from what I am doing here. That's the reason why I lightly hint for support occasionally, just to help with some of the bills pertaining to the streams and stuff like that. But the reality of the matter is I just recently become monetized, and understandably, YouTube has they have rules, and you can understand why they have rules, because let's face it, if you had a product or a service and you wanted to advertise, you don't want it to be beside some kind of crazy video that would not reflect well on your product or service. So it does not affect what I say. I will tell you exactly what my opinion is. Make no mistake about that, even if I did lose monetization. But if I don't have to cuss, I won't cuss. That's the bottom line. So anyway, JJ, yeah, they feel entitled. They may plead. Who knows what's going to happen tomorrow? It is going to be an exciting day. I promise you, I'll be up bright and early, and I'll be ready to go. If the Lord don't take me home in the meantime, I'll be up and I'll be on it. It's going to be a long day, but it should be a great day. I can't wait. What time does Fani Willis? Oh yeah, I think it's 9:15 Eastern Standard Time. So that's exactly what. Let me see if I see anything else here. We can come back, but it's getting loaded up with comments, and I want to move on here. Yeah, I appreciate all y'all's comments. Yeah, they could also expose it. That's right. There is, Dad, you're right. There is civil liability in addition to the criminal liability, because the defendants that they've sued could turn around and sue them. If nothing else, I can assure you this: Fulton County needs to be really careful. They could be on the hook for a ton of money. Can you imagine former President Donald Trump actually turning around and suing for like fraudulent, or I think it's more accurately titled malicious prosecution, they definitely can do that. So yeah, you never know when you're facing jail time, just like the other defendants in the situation here that have pled guilty already. When you're facing time in a cage for 20 years, I assure you, your hair's going to go gray, just like my buddy Michael Roman in the video I showed you a little while back. I can promise you it is a special type of hell. It is a very high degree of stress. Fortunately, I've never had to suffer quite like that, at least not in a criminal context, but I can only imagine the suffering these people go through, whether they're falsely accused or they're properly accused. That has to be a really, really sad and tormenting situation. Is about the only thing I can say about it. So let's go ahead and let's get back to the video here. We can always pop back in here a second. All right. Now, I want to introduce you. If you have not seen, one of my favorite people in the world is this attorney, Ashley Merchant. Now, I want to give you some quick background on here, then we're going to get right into this video because there's an article that's a very good article concerning her and a quick video. Ashley Merchant is an attorney in the state of Georgia. She is in Cobb County, Georgia, the Cobb she resides in. The whole Atlanta area has like about 9 counties or something that makes up the metro Atlanta area, but you can practice in any of the jurisdiction. And of course, she's in Cobb County. This criminal proceeding is in Fulton County. Michael Roman is her client. Now, Michael Roman was brought to the grand jury by Fani Willis, and Fani Willis asked the grand jury, please return an indictment against this evil Michael Roman. We need to take him out. He's a conspirator along with Donald Trump. We need to hammer him in this Rico action. And of course, the grand jury indicted him, right? No, the grand jury did not indict Michael Roman, but Fani Willis decided to indict him anyways. That speaks volumes, in my opinion, to the character of Fani Willis and to the strength of this case, because the expression is a DA or a prosecutor can indict a ham sandwich with a grand jury. It's just that simple. You want a grand jury to indict, they almost always come back with an indictment. It's a very, very low threshold, a very low bar, and generally, in reality, folks, a grand jury is more of an investigation tool, in my opinion, than it is a tool to decide if someone should be indicted or not indicted. I mean, that's just my opinion. That's my observation. You may not find that anywhere else, but I'm telling you now, that's what it is. They put these grand juries together so they have subpoena power. They can have people come in under penalty of perjury and give testimony there. There's a lot of reasons, but it's basically an investigative tool. And if you cannot get your own grand jury to indict somebody, that says something about your case. But Fani Willis is driving this bus, this corrupt bus, where she wants to take Donald Trump out and friends and associates, make a name for herself, get herself famous, get herself in the papers for the rest of eternity, to where they look back at Fani Willis and Nathan Wade as this great whatever. And so she's driving this bus, if you will, metaphorically here, and she sees Michael Roman, and she just go, well, I'll just run him over too at the same time. And that's what she did. She ran him over. But folks, I don't know if you call it karma, call it whatever you want to call it. This one guy that she has apparently screwed over is going to be the reason why she's going to get what's coming to her. Because Michael Roman had the good presence of mind to hire, who we're going to check out next, attorney Ashley Wade. And Ashley Wade, I'm just guessing here, I did make another call to her office today. Understandably, she is extremely busy. She's got this huge case going on tomorrow. I'm sure she's got a lot on her plate right now, but I will continuously keep in contact with her in her office and see if I can't get her on the program one day for an interview. If it's not now, maybe sometime in the future, because I can assure you, I'm in love with this woman. I mean, I'll just tell you straight up. Of course, I'm joking, but she is just a fantastic example of a good lawyer. That's obviously a good person, and she tries to do what's right for her community. Everything I've read about her just looks like a model citizen. What a model attorney, what attorneys should be theoretically. And she took this case of Michael Roman's, and she obviously decided, hey, I'm going to really work. I'm going to actually work to protect my client. She got on the computer, started typing in names of the prosecutors and other individuals, and she come across the fact that Nathan Wade filed for divorce. Boom. And she started printing everything off. And as soon as that happened and she filed her motion to have these individuals removed, it was sealed. Those records were sealed. So she didn't release them at that time. But of course, they went back to court and the judge ordered them unsealed, as I told you that they would. So interesting little story as far as how this all developed. So we're going to take a peek at this. Again, this is attorney Ashley Wade, one of my new favorite people. The article here calls her, as you can read right there on your screen. We'll go ahead and share it at this time. I'm going to minimize myself, so I'm down here at the bottom. And let me take the comment off the screen. I get talking, not paying attention here. All right, there she is, Ashley Merchant. And we're going to listen to this short clip, and then we will discuss it. We'll go over what the screen says here, but she's just talking about her accomplishments and what she's done to date. And there's our buddy Nathan Wade. She contended Wade used some of the nearly $654,000 in legal fees. She demanded that Willis charges against women be dropped. That's what they're going to do tomorrow, of course. It says if Merchant gets her way at the hearing, which will determine whether the relationship as a conflict of interest should lead to the end of the case against her client. All right. I told you it was short. I wasn't kidding about that. That's what you call short. The other thing I want to check out here real quick, they have this fantastic little article, if it pulls up correctly. And I think it kind of goes hand in hand because this clip and this article, I believe it's the New York Post. And I just want to briefly go through this because it's got some great pictures and it's got some great information. So let's take a quick peek at it, shall we? So here we go. Let me minimize myself again so that y'all can get a good shot of this clip here. Okay, meet the badass lawyer who could blow up Trump's racketeering case over Fani Willis's sex secrets. By the way, folks, if you see me looking sideways off the screen, it's not like I'm trying to be rude or not pay attention to anybody, but I got two screens set up here and I got a few other computer gadgets. So it's just easier with my eyesight to just kind of look to the right instead of looking directly at the somewhat smaller screen. All right. You see our friend right there, Ashley Merchant. And of course, that's Fani Willis in the circle. Ashley Merchant never stops running. And that has enabled Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis running scared, the badass criminal defense attorney who is 46, who runs marathons in her spare time, will be front and center at a hearing in Atlanta Thursday that could upend the sprawling election meddling and racketeering case against former President Donald Trump and others. In August, a Fulton County grand jury returned a 41-count indictment accusing Trump and 18 co-defendants of plotting to reverse the former president's 2020 electoral loss in Georgia. Willis has been leading the investigation. Then Merchant filed a bombshell motion on January 8th on behalf of her client, GOP political operative Mike Roman, 52, alleging that Willis had an improper and clandestine relationship with Nathan Wade, whom Willis appointed as special prosecutor, and demanding that Willis's charges against Roman be dropped. Merchant, who was just sworn in as president of the Georgia Association of Criminal Defense Lawyers, argued that Willis should be disqualified from the case because the district attorney chose to appoint her romantic partner, who at all times relevant to this prosecution has been a married man. Sounds like a soap opera, don't it? And folks, don't misunderstand me. I understand how things are in the real world, but in the state of Georgia, I mean, we just have to be accurate here. I don't want to not call it what it is. When you sleep with a married person, you are committing the crime of adultery. It's just that simple. And that is a crime in the state of Georgia. Look it up. It is a crime and it's punishable by 1 year in prison. So that's another situation that he may be facing right there. We'll just have to wait and see. Here's another picture of Ashley Merchant with her client, Michael Roman, to her right. And that was the hearing they just had the other day that she won. Here's the judge that I love right here. This is Judge Scott McAfee. So he's the one overseeing this entire case. Man, he's got the patience of Job. He has had to sit there and listen to the incompetence of Nathan Wade. I'm sure he's scratching his head thinking, what is going on with this guy? Now he knows what is up that we've been talking about at length. Okay, Merchant contended that Wade, an attorney with the Marietta-based Wade and Campbell firm, he keeps changing his names, but that's the current name of the so-called firm, used some of the nearly $654,000 in legal fees that he's been paid by the Fulton County DAs for his work on the Trump case to take Willis on lavish vacations to Napa Valley, California, Florida, and the Caribbean. Napa Valley sounds good, don't it? I wouldn't mind going to Napa Valley. I guess that's what, California? I think I've driven through there, but I'm sure I didn't enjoy it as much as Nathan Wade and Fani Willis did. But I'm just guessing here. All right, Willis, 44, has admitted to a relationship with Wade. It's either a relationship or personal relationship. Again, we're playing with words, folks. That's what we're doing. We're playing with words. A personal injury lawyer with little or no experience in high-profile felony cases. But her office has dismissed it as gossip. Oh, that's just gossip. That's gossip, which would not derail the racketeering case. On Thursday, Willis and Wade faced a high-stakes hearing on whether their relationship is a conflict of interest, with which Merchant says would lead to the end of the case against her client and, by implication, Trump and the others. Yay, we can only hope. And there she is. That's a good photograph of her fighting in court for her clients. I love it. And then, of course, we have Sweet Willis, second from the left. Pointed Wade, third from the left. So you got Fani in position number 2, and then Wade right behind her. There's a joke in there somewhere, but I'll move on. And here's a photo that I think this photo is pretty cool. Let me see if I can get the position a little better. You got our former President Donald Trump. Don't you know he practiced for this photo, this mugshot? I don't know how he did not practice. That is such a cool mugshot photo. Folks, if I'm ever arrested and they take my mugshot, I pray that my shot looks half as good as his shot. I mean, that's just a cool shot. I mean, let's just be honest about it. If you have to have a mugshot, that's the kind of mugshot I want to have. One that looks like I'm going to get you for this. I mean, what a great mugshot. You agree? Think it's a good mugshot? Let me know. And then, of course, you have the other defendants right here. Look at all these people's lives this woman, this man has messed with. Just makes me sick. Willis may be forced to testify about when her relationship with Wade began. The judge presiding over the Trump case, Scott McAfee, said Monday it puts Merchant in the national spotlight, potentially bringing about the end of the case against Trump, which some legal observers have seen as the strongest of the 4 criminal indictments he faces, and his 14 co-defendants. 4 have pleaded guilty to a range of charges. And of course, we've talked about that. Merchant said her work is not partisan. She just goes the extra distance for her clients, which happened when she nosed around a divorce filing by Wade, then the estranged wife Jocelyn, and found information that led her to believe that Willis and Wade might have financially benefited from Wade's appointment as special prosecutor on the case. Gee, you think? That's another interesting picture of Sweet Merchant. Merchant is the incoming president of the Georgia Association of Criminal Defense Lawyers, and she's described as a pit bull. Folks, I can tell you when it comes to criminal defense, I have a very close and personal friend in another state that practices criminal defense. And when he first started, he was really starving. I'm just going to be honest with you. We think of attorneys as all being wealthy and having tons of money, but that's not necessarily true. I've seen a lot of attorneys, frankly, go bankrupt They just were not able to find clients, run a business, whatever. Just because you have a law license doesn't mean you're going to make it. And it's been my experience that these criminal defense lawyers, they really struggle. You have some that are somewhat successful. Majority of them, frankly, don't make it. They end up taking a job and become a prosecutor, or they end up working for some other government agency or something like that, just because it's such a difficult business to make a name for yourself. The exceptions, of course, like a F.E. Bailey or a Johnny Cochran or something like that, obviously they've made names for themselves, and they've made a lot of money in their lives. However, they're the exception, not the rule. The people that make the big money are my friend here, Nathan Wade, as you can see. These personal injury guys, believe it or not, these are the folks that make a ton of money. These are the guys that make the big bucks. Make no mistakes about that. All right, let's see. I am what would consider a proactive defense lawyer, and as opposed to a reactive defense lawyer, Merchant told the Post. Many lawyers only react and defend, but I try to take a more proactive approach and investigate every aspect of a case. Many lawyers let the government do the investigation, and they just try to poke holes in that. But I take a very different approach. I try to use the facts and the truth to help defend my clients. And I never take any action just to upset a case. I mean, I just love her. I love everything she says. I only take actions that are carefully investigated and have a legal basis to support them. If the government is trying to send someone to prison, I think a defense lawyer owes a duty to the client to fully investigate every aspect of a case. As for preparations, I ran this morning and it feels amazing, Merchant told the Post Tuesday. I actually think about cross-examinations and arguments on long runs. That may be why she's so good. She's built up her endurance, a good exercise, a good run. I want to tell you on a quick side note right here. And by the way, you're looking at a picture of the soon-to-be ex-wife of Nathan Wade. Thursday and Friday scheduled 2-day hearing would showcase carefully honed skills, her friend said. Here's the soon-to-be ex-wife of Nathan Wade. She's pretty. I think she's a pretty woman. So I want to tell you something. It's just my humble opinion, but this is prima facie proof, I'm telling you, that Nathan Wade is doing a job that no one else wants to do. All right, enough. I'm not going to get carried away in that. Folks, when it comes to criminal defense, these lawyers really, really have a tough job. It's like my friend said, there's no feeling quite like a case that you've worked as hard as you could work to defend your client. And then at the end of the day, your client is found guilty. And then 2 or 3 police officers come over, grab your client aggressively, push him to the table, handcuff him, and haul him off to jail probably for the rest of his life. He says it's just a very uncomfortable feeling. Can you imagine that? That would be kind of a rough job. I mean, you did everything you can, and someone is going to be put in a cage. I mean, I don't know. And what if you really thought that person was innocent? That would even make it tougher, wouldn't it? I don't know. All right, let's finish this up. Let's see. Ashley's one hell of a lawyer, a real pit bull. Dwight Thomas, 72. One of Atlanta's most powerful and respected criminal defense lawyers, told the Post. I've known her for many years, and she's aggressive, zealous, and leaves no stone unturned. She thrives on this kind of hard work and pleasure, and she doesn't mind ruffling feathers. There's a lot riding on this hearing, and she will be more than ready for it, I can assure you. Longtime Georgia lawmaker Vernon Jones, a Democratic state representative turned vocal Trump supporter. Really? I didn't know he was supporting Trump. He's always been Mr. Democrat. Said Merchant is the best kept secret in the case. And there's a plaque in front of her office, I'm guessing, right there. So anyway, she's going to be the person who will bring this Trump case to a halt, Jones said to the Post. She has an explosive, brilliant legal and political mind. She's the one everyone else, the other co-defendants, are basing their legal strategy on. So goes Ashley, so goes all the others. To make matters worse for Willis, Republican lawmakers in Georgia said Friday that the multiple employees from the DA's office are eager to testify against their boss. Oh no, in a special state fact-finding investigation. I don't want to go off on too many tangents, but folks, there's a Senate investigation in the state of Georgia, the state Senate of Georgia. You have the House, the Georgia Assembly, the House in the state of Georgia is doing their own investigation and impeachment. She's brought up on 22 charges of impeachment that we will go over at another time. All right, back to it. She is also being investigated by the Georgia Prosecuting Attorney's Qualifications Committee. Look, another investigation to add to my list here. And U.S. Rep. Jim Jordan. I knew about that one. That's the federal Jim Jordan from the House of Representatives has subpoenaed her for documents about allegations that Willis fired a whistleblower from her office and misused federal funds. We talked extensively about that yesterday. And another picture of Ashley Merchant. Like I said, she's a very pretty woman, very intelligent. Again, there's nothing I like more than beauty and brains in one woman, right? Okay, Merchant works with her husband. Oh, she's married. Merchant works with her husband, John Merchant III, at a deceptively small-looking firm in an office park in Marietta, about 2 miles from Wade's office. Yeah, Wade is down off Powers Ferry Road, and she's kind of on the other side of the square. I didn't know it was only 2 miles, but whatever. The two met at the University of Florida Law School and have 2 daughters. Oh, good for them. I'm glad. I love this woman more I read about her. Prior to this year, Merchant was best known for her successful defense of a man charged with murdering a former beauty queen turned history teacher, Tara Grinstead, in 2005. I remember that case. It was an especially tough case. Ryan Alexander Duke had confessed to killing Grinstead and burning her body. But when he took the stand, he recanted his claim and said he had been afraid of naming his friend Bo Dukes. Interesting. Duke got 10 years in prison for concealing the death, but was acquitted of malice murder, felony murder, aggravated assault, and burglary. Her friend and fellow Georgia criminal defense lawyer, Megan Grout, who is part of an informal group of female criminal defense lawyers called the Brawls, badass women lawyers, said she could talk about Ashley all day. She's going to be hell on wheels in that courtroom Tuesday. She is utterly fearless and utterly dedicated, Grout said. All you need to know is that my daughter is in law school, and she says Alicia is her role model. I'm sorry, Ashley is her role model, and her mother is a criminal defense attorney. Ashley Merchant, I'm getting my tongue tied here, but Ashley, man, what a great woman she is. A perfect model for so many women that may be thinking about getting into law, doing something like this. I mean, this is impressive. I'm impressed. I hope you're impressed too. This is just nothing short of amazing. So I generally don't like to go too far over the 1 hour mark for the simple reason that, well, I guess number one, I can only talk so much. Number two, I believe firmly that if you go too far over and you just keep blabbing, you kind of get bored and you start losing interest. So what I want to do is I just want to start landing this plane, and I want to let you know that I'll be back, Lord willing, tomorrow morning. First thing, we will start our coverage early in the morning. There is supposed to be a hearing at 9:15 at the Fulton County Courthouse, and we'll be talking about it extensively. And listen, I had someone ask me, can I sum up exactly what I think is going on here? Like, for example, if you have somebody on social media saying exactly what is Fani Willis and Nathan Wade accused of, I mean, how do I put that in words? How do I articulate that? Well, here's what you can say. Here's the way I see it. You have an elected district attorney that is currently sitting in office, Fani Willis. In my estimation, what she has done is she decides, I'm going to make a name for myself for the history books. I'm also going to help my boyfriend, Nathan Wade, with his law practice. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take out Donald Trump, the individual who will likely be the next president of the United States, unless I can do something about it. And at the same time, I am going to create a scheme where I take federal taxpayer money. We're talking about the COVID funds that was given to Fulton County that she has allegedly misappropriated and given to Nathan Wade. And she's taken taxpayer money from the state of Georgia and has given that to Nathan Wade, depending on what report you believe, between $726,000 and $1 million to date. And that's just what we know of right now. So her scheme is, I'm going to enrich myself by proxy by enriching my boyfriend, Nathan Wade. And I'm going to be able to take trips with him. We're going to be able to go on cruises. We're going to go to the Napa Valley. We're going to have a good old time. And that's what we're going to do. So in a nutshell, that's what it boils down to. It's called corruption. It's called honest service fraud. It's felonious. It's felonies that we're talking about here. She is obviously, in my estimation, committed perjury. I mean, this is just terrible. So I hope that I've explained this well enough and y'all have kind of a good grasp of what's going on here. So folks, I appreciate you so much taking time out of your day to listen to what I have to say. It truly does humble me. I appreciate it. My goal is to help you. I always believe that if you understand life, if you understand subjects better, you can live better. It's just that simple. My goal is to end indoctrination as we know it. If you have a friend that you believe is indoctrinated, a family member, children, whatever, send them a link to this video and let them hear what this bald-headed guy's got to say. Maybe they'll be receptive, maybe they won't, but at least you would have sent them the information so they can process it. And whether you agree with me or not, folks, my goal is to help you think and make your own choices and your own decisions. It's just that simple. So be sure to join me tomorrow. Until next time, I like to always say, keep that mind free, never give up. And until next time, my friends, I am J.R. Dukes.